Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. Hope you guys have had an amazing week since I last podcasted. We had a fun thing that we did this weekend. I was actually supposed to go knit with some friends of mine Saturday evening, and my son was saying, I want to go see Moana. He was saying my daughter's almost 5 and she's never stepped inside a movie theater. I think that's somewhat unusual for an American. I don't know how it is around different parts of the world, but I know a lot of friends take their 2-3-year-olds to the movies, and she'd never been in one. And my son was like, I really want to see Moana, and so we took her to her first movie. I'd been kind of agonizing over what I wanted her first movie to be because I felt like that was important. My son's first movie was Ponyo, which is a Studio Ghibli, a Japanese filmmaker, Hayao Miyazaki. It's one of his films, and I just thought that was such a great film, and so I would kind of wondering what my daughter's first one should be, and I'm very glad it was Moana. It was a very cute film, and we all enjoyed it, and so that was my Saturday late afternoon, evening time. Just a lot of fun. Even if I didn't get to go knit, I totally loved hanging out with my family and seeing a movie together, and I think that now there will be many kid movies in my future because she did pretty well. She only talked a couple times during the movie and was like, run away, when bad things were happening or something. But it was a very cute movie and great music. So anyways, let's get into the knitting. That's what you guys are here for. I finished one of my, keeping with my goal of every Sunday, a finished sock, and hopefully even more than that. So this is some Cuppy Cake yarns in her Jingle Bells colorway, and it's one that I was supposed to have done for Christmas last year, but I'm just finishing up now, so there's that. And I love the speckledy portion in between the solid stripes. And so in a Halcyon yarn bag, sparkly one, I have the other sock, and this sock is almost ready for the heel turn, very close, and so just a couple more pattern repeats and it'll be ready for another finished socks next Sunday, and then I can work on some of my other sock whips. I'm slowly getting to where I'm almost finished knitting up the sock whips I had from last year, so this is great. And this base is so just amazingly soft. This is my first time ever trying her yarn, and it had been in my stash for a little while, but I'm very glad that I finally used it and that I now know I love it, so I'll definitely be ordering more sometime in the years to come. So that was that sock. And then it's funny because I'm doing the Vera Valamaki spotlight all this month, and so I kind of had thought about how I wanted to pace it out, starting with the things that had the most yardage of hers that I wanted to knit, starting at the beginning all the way down to the things that had the least amount of yardage, so I could kind of have the best chance of getting everything done. Just gonna have some coffee really fast. It's so good. But because of that, it's gonna be where I have a whole bunch of things on the needles, and then hopefully they'll all be done or close to that by the end of the month. So every time at the end of the month, there'll be like 5 finished objects. But in a Fat Squirrel bag, did make a good amount of progress on this, and I might just focus on this just to get this off the needles sooner than I thought. I was hoping to get it off by the end of the month, but a week early would have been really nice. So this is the Cloud Bay sweater for Justina Lorikowska, and I'm making it out of some Knit Pricks Capra DK in just the cream color. And my goal, every week I'm setting a different goal of what to get done on this. It's a sweater for my best friend. And my goal for this week to get done was the button band in front. So as you can see, the button band is done. It's not that wide, it's like 2.5 inches wide, but the amount of stitches on each row meant that it took a while to complete each time I went around. So button band's pretty unique. My son called it fancy, and my best friend is a very fancy person, so in a good way. But she's very stylish, so she'll like this. But it has kind of a ribbing, and then it goes to a garter detail, and it goes back to ribbing, so I think she'll enjoy that a lot. And it's a good length, it's very soft. And then, ahead of schedule, I went ahead and started the arm. So there's not a lot of it done. I could have done more, but I just kind of paused since I'd finished the button band already. But yeah, I got the sleeves going, and my best friend is even shorter than I am, and I am not tall at all, so I'm probably gonna adjust the arms to be a little bit shorter than the pattern calls for. And hopefully, my goal for this week is to have the first sleeve finished and be starting on the second, but if I could get more progress than that, it would be amazing. There's that. And the next thing is one of the Vera Valamaki patterns, and this is in a Bags by Awesome Granny, the awesome custom bag I had done for me a little over a year ago. It's because I love all things Russian. Well, I love most things Russian. There are some not good Russian things. I love most things Russian. And this is out of I'm knitting the iceberg sweater out of some Shalimar yarns. It's their Breathless Decay in the Glacier colorway, and it's gorgeous. So I finally finished the giant turtleneck part, which I was happy to do because I know that I'm going to love the finished object because I love really cozy turtlenecks. And so the turtleneck part is all done. Let's see if I can find, so that's where I was last week. And so I did about 3 to 4 inches, but finished the turtleneck part, and I have started the increases for the fronts and the backs, and we'll soon be doing the sleeve. And it's really neat, the construction for this, so I'm excited when I have a little more done to show you. But I know that this is going to, probably I'll focus on getting the Cloud Bay done and then focus on this sweater, because this is gonna fly now because there's not any more ribbing for a while. The ribbing took a little while because you're having to constantly move the yarn back and forth. But now it's just stockinette stitch on size 10 needles, so that's pretty easy to do. And then I worked more on, and this thing, I could have honestly just knit on it all week because I loved it so much. The yarn is really pretty, and the pattern's just, it's very kind of soothing, mindless. And this is in my Down Turkeytown Road bag, because I don't really have purple bags, and this shawl has a lot of purple in it, so I really wanted a purple bag to put this in, but it's about to outgrow this bag. And so this is the Be Kind shawl by Vera Valamaki. I am knitting it out of some yarn ink in the Luna colorway, and I love white with little bits of stuff in it. I don't know, it's very pretty to me to have a whole bunch of white in a yarn. And last time I meant to put in, did I put in a marker? I might have. It's too big to, it's honestly too big to hold it all out. Last week I could, but this week if I stretched it out to show you, it would fall off the sides. Ah, there we go. So last week I was right there, and so I knit, trying to make sure it doesn't fall off any, I knit all of that from here up to there. So because the way this shawl works, because of some shaping, is that this side doesn't really grow that much. It grows occasionally, but it grows up and out from here. So the last time I worked on this is over here. So not only did I do that many rows, but I also increased the shawl by, I don't want to stretch it out too much, but by that much basically per row. So every row gets longer and longer and longer. And I am right on track to have this done by the end of the month. I think I just have 2 sections left, and I wish I had a bigger needle so that I could hold it all out and show it to you, because it's a little bit bunched up on there, and it's only going to get more and more bunched up as it goes, because it's almost, I think at the end it has like 550 stitches on it or something like that, but it's definitely over 500 stitches at the end. And since last week I've doubled the stitch count, so I don't quite double it again to get to the end, so that's good. I'm on the downhill slope, but the rows are the longest. And then the new cast on for this, because every Sunday I'm going to have a new pattern by that designer to show. And don't worry, because the next one is a shawl, but my last two patterns for the last 2 Sundays are much smaller, so it's not gonna, you know, I'll be able to get stuff done because I kind of, like I said, took into account the yardage of every project and had it to where it gets easier as the weeks go by because the yardage of the projects is smaller. So in my Diana Couture bag, which is one that I absolutely use every single time for 2-color shawls, and this is her Serena bag. And the reason why I love it for 2-color shawls is, I'll show you the inside really quickly, but then I'll show you why. So you have your knitting, and you can hold it on the outside, and then you have your 2 cakes in there, and then you can snap it up or not. I normally snap it up, but you don't have to fiddle with the yarn. They just sit in there, and since this has a wonderful, lovely kind of mouth to the bag, or a hole where the yarn can come out from, the yarn just sits in there, and it comes out from, comes out from there. So it's just perfect for 2-color shawls where there's striping, or you're changing colors a lot, or even I guess if you were doing a 2-color sweater or something like that. But this pattern that I cast on was gifted to me by my sweet friend Yarning for a Smile. So I'll get the yarn a little bit tangled up on my progress marker. But I just cast this on Friday, and this is the first light shawl by Vera Valamaki. And so this is how it looks. Start off with that. The shawl was done, as she says in the pattern, to showcase a really pretty speckled yarn. So here's that. And the 2 colors that I am using for this are, and here's the Diana Couture. This is a Serena bag. And she has different sizes for the Serena. She had some really cute St. Patrick's Day bags in her shop, and that's when my birthday is. And I was showing them to my husband. I was like, these would make great birthday presents for anyone who would like to buy their St. Patrick's Day wife a birthday. So, and I said, and the longer you wait till St. Patrick's Day, they might sell out. So I'm hoping he got me the bags that I showed him a couple that I liked for St. Patrick's Day from her, because she had a really cute St. Patrick's Day Serena bag. But the two yarns that I'm using are Lamby Toes in the Festive Conifer and some Hazel Knits in the Shanty Pants. And I am going to have this be my St. Patrick's Day birthday Don't Pinch Me Because I'm Wearing Green shawl forever, because I love it so much. This green is my green. It's somewhere between like an emerald and a Kelly green. I don't know how the camera will show it up, but and then you have this gorgeous speckled, so we're kind of meeting 2 holidays, because this Festive Conifer is obviously supposed to be a Christmas color, and then this is like a St. Patrick's Day. But the Festive Conifer to me does not say Christmas much at all. It's mostly white, because I love mostly white, and then there's green speckles of browns, different shades of browns. There's tiny pops of a reddish orange, but those are, I don't think that's like a color aspect of it. I think it's just an occasional blip where the dye broke or something like that. And then there's tiny bits of blue in there as well, but the main colors you see when you look at it are green and brown and white. So that looks wonderful together, and they're such soft and just nice yarns. And I've worked with Hazel Knits once before, because I was given it in a goodie bag, but I've never gotten to work with Lamby Toes. I got this a while ago. The tag says 2015, or that it was at least dyed in 2015 for 2015 Christmas. But I absolutely am loving this yarn. It's a lot of fun to work with. And her labels for the Lamby Toes are just so cute. Squeeze those both back in there. And so yeah, I actually, because of the thought of this, like, oh, okay, one solid color yarn and one really fun speckled yarn has gotten me on a dyeing shawl kits kick. So over there is drying a whole bunch of solids for that Open Skies yarn on Etsy. there's a whole bunch of solids over there dyeing, and then I'm going to dye, probably coming up this next week, the speckled part, and I'm going to put them in little kits. And I'm really excited because I think that they would make perfect Pure Joys or First Light, so I thought that would be fun, and those will be up in the shop pretty soon. I'll have to order special bags for them to hold 2 skeins of yarn because I don't have any bags like that, but there's going to be like a simple everyday, which is 100% merino, and then there's going to be a luxury day cashmere blend of the shawl kits, and that will be a lot of fun, and I'm excited about the colors I picked. There's going to be like a neutral, a purple one, a blue one. I won't tell you anymore, but I'm very excited, and that whole premise of the speckled yarn with the solid, kind of pairing them together, just set me off on I want to dye shawl kits, so that's what I was doing some this week. And then also up for, well, I'll talk about the Open Skies yarn stuff and enabling, but yeah, that is the First Light shawl. And that's all of the knitting, yep. And then for spinning, I finished just a little while ago, but I hadn't shown it yet. This was a prize for one of the Patreon that I was spinning for my friend who picked it out. And it is, I believe it was Rock and String Creations. And I might have to go back and watch the episode where I showed this off as enabling the fiber. It's Rock and String, and I think it's Polwarth or Targhee, but I got a little over 320 yards of sport weight. Would make a beautiful cowl because this is so wonderfully solid tonal. It would just show off a pattern very gorgeously, and I had fun doing more solid tonal hand spun instead of, a lot of times you get these braids and you don't know what it will look like. But I think that the solid and tonal colors are very usable for people maybe that you wouldn't have to go out and find a pattern necessarily that was meant for hand spun, because sometimes hand spun can have the crazy barber pulling, which I love, but this will work with any pattern she wants to do. So yarn is done, hand spun is done, and I'll have to write to her and ask her, because she's local to me, not far, if she wants me to send it to her or give it to her next time I see her. But yeah, and I have started spinning the Noro. Tuesdays are kind of my spinning day, so I should be working on that, and it should be done by the end of the month. And let's see what else. So group news, this is going to be the last week for this. We have the Hello 2017 giveaway, and I'm going to be drawing for it next week. So if you haven't entered and you would like to, make sure you go on over to the Ravelry group for BookishStitcher podcast. And it's this wonderful bag from Bling Your String from my friend Erin. And then this was so kindly gifted by Aubrey. And I forgot to mention the first time I talked about this. This is an it's an MSC. So it's merino, silk, and cashmere, and it feels stunning. And it's Mrs. Crosby's hat box. Oh, Miss Crosby loves to play. And that is, yeah, it's her hat box. It is, like I said, the MSC, 75% merino, superwash merino, 15% silk, and 10% cashmere. And it just feels like a dream. And it has all these fun colors. You have kind of a winter themed bag and kind of a summer fun themed yarn. So that will be drawn for next week. And then we also have our Vera Valamaki cowl going on. And Java Jenny had asked me on Instagram, I think at the beginning of the month, if there was a hashtag for this, and I didn't make one up, I'm sorry. But if anybody has any suggestions for it or is currently using a hashtag that they want to share, just let me know in the Ravelry group thread for this episode. And then as far as enabling goes, I don't have anything, well, I do have stuff from the yarn shop I could show you if I had thought to bring it over, but I don't have any personal my enabling. But the Open Skies yarn shop on Etsy has some stuff that's going to be going up in it this week. I intended on doing a late last week, like Thursday, Friday update, but I've had some extended family that have been in the hospital this week, not anyone in my immediate family, but on my side of the family, some people, a person And so it's been kind of a busier week with that. And they live locally. I'm not going to say anymore, but so yeah, I have dyed up some Breakfast at Tiffany's, and that will be going up in the shop. And then I dyed up some Sabrina. I took a picture of it on Instagram if you haven't seen it and would like to see that. And Sabrina's really pretty. I dyed up 2 versions of it, like a Sabrina, a subtle Sabrina and a bright Sabrina. And those will both be listed in the shop separately so you can kind of see the difference. The bright Sabrina actually has a lot more white in it, so that you can see the different pops of color a lot more that I use. And then the subtle Sabrina, kind of the colors are washed throughout in this pretty, just very subtle, delicately beautiful yarn. And the Breakfast at Tiffany's is lots of fun. And so those will all be in there. And then the shawl kits, I will probably have them, hopefully, to show you next week. They won't be in the shop this week. Just those 2 colors I mentioned, the Sabrina and the Breakfast at Tiffany's, will be in this week. And then I'm also going to be dyeing up this upcoming week some on my own, and then someone for the kits, and some more funny face, because I've had a couple people request that. And I finally got in more of the soft sock. For people that are waiting, I'm so sorry. It just, I didn't know that it was going to take this long, but it ended up taking less long than they had anticipated, which is great. So yeah, that's a little bit about the shop, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's come out and supported it, and I really appreciate it. And I think for next things, I think I'm going to try and buy another pot and pan to dye because I only have one, and so that'll make it easier for me kind of to dye up more than 2 skeins at a time. If I have another pot and pan, I can dye up 4 at a time, so that will be wonderful. And then for the book this week, I do so many audiobooks because I drive a ton with both kids, and my son's in school full time basically, and my daughter is in preschool, but I still drive her to that and everything, and then different activities that they're in, and waiting in carpool lines. Anybody who has kids knows about waiting in carpool lines. I get a lot of audiobook time. I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts, and not really many knitting ones for audio. I listen to a lot of science and book and history and all kinds of different podcasts. I have a couple knitting, but not many. But yeah, so I do a lot of audiobooks. And the audiobook that I finish about 1 to 2 a week. This week was called The Asylum by John Harwood. And this was a fantastic, just fun mystery read. It wasn't anything super challenging, but I enjoyed it. And the narrator, who was Rosalind Landor, did a very good job. So the premise of this book is this woman wakes up and she's in an asylum, and she cannot remember anything other of what occurred in the recent past, kind of a short-term memory lapse. And she can remember who she is and all this stuff, but eventually the doctor comes in to see her. The nurse is in there with her when she wakes up, but the doctor comes in and calls her by a different name than she remembers herself as. He calls her by the name Miss Ashton, but she's like, no, my name is Miss Ferris. And so he said, you checked yourself in under this name, and she checked herself in as a voluntary patient, saying that she needed to talk to someone. But then, because he's trying to, Dr. Stryker is the doctor's name, is trying to figure out why she checked herself in under this name, he's like, okay, well, let me write to your nearest relative or family. And so she gives the name, because she only has one surviving family member, which is an uncle. And she gives the name, and they write to the uncle and say, hey, we have your niece, Georgina Ferris, here. And the uncle replies back, you must have an imposter. My niece is here with me, which kind of sets an avalanche of these different events going on. Her trying to remember what has happened in the past few weeks. She's convinced, this is who I am, and the doctors are not convinced, and she's like, who is this imposter? At least her trying to escaping all kinds of different things through the book, and trying to figure out just what has occurred and why. And there's also flashbacks to the past of like a generation beforehand, and some people that were a family that was mad and owned a madhouse. They call it the madhouse, but it's an asylum. And just kind of an interplay between these two generations, and this journal and these letters and this will and testimony of the last will and testimony of this one person, and trying to figure out how all this plays into this kind of plot that is unwinding. And normally with these kind of books, I don't read a ton of them, so I am not by any means an expert in the mystery genre. But normally by page 60 to 100, I've figured out the entire plot, just because my mind will think of 5 million different things that could happen. But this one, I kind of was like, is that the bad guy? Is that the bad guy? I kept guessing, and I didn't have it nailed down. And it's such an intricate plot that it's kind of hard to say that there is a bad guy. There are lots of motives and different things occurring that you find out as the book goes on, but a bad guy in a typical term is harder to define in this book. And so it's very much pinned as a Gothic thriller, and I love Gothic novels, especially Henry James' Turn of the Screw. And I mean, and the Brontes, I could go on and on. I absolutely love the classic Gothic genre, but this newer one is not as amazing as the classics in my opinion. But if you're looking for something easier to read and that will still keep you guessing, and if you're looking for a great audiobook where the narrator is good, then I would definitely recommend The Asylum by John Harwood. And I think it's a little over a 10-hour audiobook read, which I can get through in just over 2 days, which tells you how much driving I have to do. But yeah, so that is everything this week. I was hoping for a little bit shorter of a podcast because it is about to have a giant rainstorm here, and you guys know how much I love rain. So we're going to do our family every Sunday. We put on music and we do an hour's worth of house cleaning to kind of get the house ready for the week and to have everything looking nice as you go into the week, because it creates this nice start. The kids kind of dance around and clean up to theirs, and I like to do this thing I call Power Hour, which is where I pick 6 things that I want to kind of improve upon. You could pick like your kitchen table or your counters or your room or anything, your closet, and then I put on a timer and I spend 10 minutes cleaning up that one area as much as I can, and then move to the next of the 6. So it's just kind of a way to make cleaning fun. But after that, we're gonna have family reading time. I'm gonna make tea for everyone who wants it, and then we're gonna sit in the living room and I'll have our books and read while the thunderstorm goes on outside, because when I found out it was going to be a big thunderstorm here in San Antonio, I asked my husband, I was like, will you read this afternoon? And he's indulging me, but he loves to read too. So I am so looking forward to an amazing afternoon of snuggled up on our couch with tea and good books. My daughter will probably color or just look through her picture books. And my son is a very avid reader, which would be great. My husband loves reading too, so it's going to be an amazing Sunday afternoon. But I hope your Sunday afternoon is amazing too. And until next week, I hope you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.